Hey, how are you doing? Hope you're doing okay, and hope that if you're not doing okay, you are able to find some time today to give yourself some self care. Um, so, I am about to do my spiritual practice, my daily spiritual practice, but I was kind of all day I've been thinking about like how I want to share this journey and this process of me creating um the spiritual and astrology women's group that I really want to do, and I was kind of just thinking about ideas and everything like that. And I thought that first off, I kind of want to. So yesterday I introduced myself, so now you guys know good a bit about me and about my background, and you guys know the base, the gist, so we know each other a little bit more. And I guess the second thing that I want to kind of talk about today is why I believe that having, well, first off, I guess like what made me get into spirituality, what made me get into astrology, like hardcore, like actually really start applying it to my lives, and how do I think it's going to benefit me, how has it been benefiting me, kind of just talk about the importance of applying spiritual practices and astrology to your life on a day-to-day basis, because that's something that I want to do. I'm going to be doing in my women's group. So I think it's important to kind of like share my kind of background as far as spirituality, how my spiritual awakening per se, and and how I feel like it'll benefit, why I think it's very important for people to implement in their daily lives to have a happy and successful life. So where do I even start? So my spiritual journey. So if you didn't watch first of all, if you didn't watch the previous video of me telling my backstory, you should watch that first, so you can get the full storyline of like my history, my background, and so therefore this video will make sense. So if you haven't watched that video, pause this video, go watch my previous video where I share my more about myself and my story. I'll link it somewhere in the description box or somewhere on the video. But yeah, so anyways, so everybody's watched that video, so we should all be on the same page. So yeah, in that previous video I shared that after being a content creator, or even at the time a social media influencer for a good 7 to 8 years. I say 7 to 8, it was probably more, but I kind of stopped counting around 7 to 8. So yeah, after doing that, having my identity crisis, because I realized that I wanted something more for myself, because like I said, for the longest I used to be in the like beauty world. So I would like film a lot of videos of me doing my hair and doing cute hairstyles and unique and creative hairstyles, and that it was really beauty related, but it was also like being comfortable. I was wanting to show other people how to be comfortable in their natural form. So it started off with natural hair. I used to wear like a ton of makeup, or I used to, not even a ton, but I used to just wear makeup. I used to love makeup. I still love makeup. But I showed that. I started off like, it got to the point, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, I started off doing cute hairstyles. I also started off wearing makeup in all my videos. And then I noticed I kind of started not liking my relationship with makeup, because I felt like every time I would get on camera or about to record a video, I had to put some makeup on. And I just did not like that, because there would be times where I just really didn't feel like putting on makeup, But then I felt like, well, if I don't put on makeup, it's just, it became like my personality. Like I didn't like I viewed myself as the girl who, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like I just felt like I wasn't myself if I wasn't wearing makeup. You know, that was the complete look. Like I don't know how to describe it. And so there would be times where if I didn't feel like doing my makeup, it would discourage me from I wouldn't even probably film a video that day. So I would only film videos when I was ready to like get glammed and do my makeup and do all the things. So I just realized over time that I just started to develop an unhealthy habit when it came to makeup. So it's not the makeup per se that I don't love, I didn't love. It was just my relationship to it. And I am very much a person that if I find that something isn't working for me, like I'm able to cut out things easily in my life. I'm not really like, if I feel like I'm getting attached to something, or like, I just am very like, if it doesn't, I'm easy to let it go. Let's just say that. When it comes to makeup, when it comes to whatever, like I'm just kind of that way, as you could tell, like with my diet, with my food. Like I'm just like, I'm not really attached to, like, I guess you would say, like, anyways, I'm able to like remove things that I feel like isn't like helping me, you know, in the best way. So anyways, so the point is, started off doing natural hair, started off doing creative hair. Then I ended up deciding to stop wearing makeup altogether because, well, it didn't start off that way, to be honest. I decided to kind of like take a break from wearing makeup. And then it ended up being like once I took a break, I just realized how amazing it was to not have to worry about putting makeup on. Plus, I will have to say, you know, the people in my life make me feel beautiful without makeup. So I felt even more comfortable to not have to wear it, you know, because my boyfriend preferred me with no makeup on already. So he was happy when I decided to like cut it out, or I took a break from it. But I guess I was putting so much work into, if you have curly hair, you know, it's a lot of work, okay, to maintain, especially, it just can be a lot sometimes, especially if you're styling it and you're doing creative hairstyle and you're trying to do so much with it. But yeah, so I guess it was just nice to not have to worry about doing makeup on my face. I don't know why I'm going on a whole tangent about this, but that was just the start. So I was just saying, over time, it started off as a natural hair, like showing my natural hairstyles, and then it turned out to be like a loving all forms of yourself, the natural form and the beautified form, or the made up form, if that makes sense, you know. So equally, you know, not like you one better than the other and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that was fine. And it was like outwardly beauty related and stuff like that. Obviously, I wanted to show like confidence on the inside and the outside and stuff like that. But overall, it was more like beauty, external, like that type of video, channel. So I was doing a lot of showing and not like, I don't know. I just realized that I really wanted to, I like talking, as you could probably tell in my videos that end up going on for so long. But I just feel like I have so much like information. Like I just like talking, and I like to, you know, like learn, and I want to share what I learn. And I kind of just felt like I had been doing the hair thing for so long. Obviously, as you get older, you change, you evolve. And, you know, going back to thinking about how I decided, you know, I started off at fashion design as a fashion design major. And then I realized that I actually it wasn't something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. Like seriously, as a career, I just liked it as a hobby. It was just fun to do, but I wanted something deeper. But then I was thinking, because I remember when I was, in college, I would have to take the train to school to my college, and I will always read a lot of like self-help books on the way to college. And I realized, like, what am I spending my time doing most of the time? Like, what am I interested in? And then I realized I was reading those books. I was reading a lot of self-help books. And then I was reading, and then I used to really, really love Psychology Today. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that site, but it's a site where there's a bunch of articles about like connecting to psychology, like the human mind and self-help and that type of stuff, mental health and all the things like that. So it's written by I believe, which will make sense, it's written by like psychologists, I believe, but it's that type of theme. So those two things were like my things that I will like spend a lot of my time on. So I just kind of realized, like, you know, if you have a passion for something, you really love something if you do it outside of, like, if you're doing it every day, if that makes sense. So for example, when I would go to school for fashion design, if I really, really, truly loved fashion design, even when I was like not in school or doing it for school reasons, I would still be like drawing, or I'll still be sewing, or I hadn't even like, I had bought a sewing machine for like a long time ago. I bought one, and it collected dust. Like, I never used it, and I liked the idea of it, but I just never did it. So I guess I kind of just reflected and was honest with myself, and I was just like, Jess, what do you spend the most time on? What do you actually enjoy outside of, like, you know, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm not really even like doing anything fashion related. Like, yes, of course I still like to dress cute, but just because you like to dress cute and put outfits together doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that you need to be a fashion designer or whatever the case may be. So I realized that I really, really, really enjoy like learning about people and the human mind, and like helping people deal with mental health. And like, I really have always been like really into love, which makes, you know, it's crazy. I didn't know, obviously. I mean, I didn't know about it. I mean, I didn't know about astrology like that much back then. I only knew about sun signs. So it's weird to really know my astrology chart now and see that like love plays a huge part in Venus, first of all, because it rules my first house. It plays a huge part in my just who I am, my personality, but also in my life, how I view life, my outlook on life. I just really love, I mean, and beauty too. It made sense. So, wait, what was I saying this? Oh yeah, but because I've always loved love. I've always loved relationships, and I used to be the go-to person when it came to people talking about relationships. I would have like the advice, and I would research a lot of the articles on Psychology Today. They had like different sections, and I would look at the like couples and relationships and the sex, because I like the spicy. I love it all. Love, sex, relationships. So yeah, so I just love that. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like I could see myself being a like marriage, counselor or marriage therapist or whatever the case may be. So, or a couples therapist or whatever. And so I viewed myself. So I started thinking about that, and I realized that maybe I need to change my major, to do something that I actually really enjoy, and something that I spend my time learning about on a day-to-day basis, So that's when I decided to change my major, blah, 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 blah. Why am I saying this? I don't even know why. Oh, I was just kind of giving you guys a basis. Okay. So then I changed my major. Obviously it doesn't matter, because then I decided to start a YouTube channel, and then the YouTube channel kicked off, and it kicked off around the time when I changed my psychology major. When I changed into my psychology major, my channel kicked off. So then I decided to take a break from college. That was my plan, to take a break and kind of just focus on the YouTube thing because I was passionate about that. And then I always thought like I could merge psychology or my love for self-help through my videos as well by giving advice and talking, but it ended up being more beauty related. So overall, like I said, my video was mainly beauty related and just loving yourself and building confidence. But then, you know, like I shared in the past in the previous video in my story, I had kind of an identity crisis. I fell out of love with just doing, like, I just didn't want to be known for just my exterior anymore because I felt like I had so much to give internally. Like I had so much knowledge to share, and I wanted to be like, I will watch a lot of videos of girls giving advice, and I was like, I want to be that. I want to be the girl. I want to be the girl that other girls go to for advice because I read I have so much knowledge. I'm always learning. You know, a lot of my videos that I listen to is all about like mental health and just growing yourself, self-growth, all that stuff. So I just felt like my purpose was more than just my exterior. So then, like I said, that's when I decided to take a break from my posting. And then there was some life stuff going on. Then a pandemic happened, just so much. And I just wasn't posting as much as I, should, like I used to. Then because I was so terrible with my money back then, I didn't really save when I was getting paid and I got paid well, but I blew my money. So I was living paycheck to paycheck, even though I was making good money. And pretty much I got to the point where I was relying on getting paid for my YouTube videos. So obviously if I'm not posting as much, then that means I'm not getting paid as much. So it just ended up just ending up really bad. And I was in a really bad situation because I'm also the type of person that like I'm trying to get better at valuing money, but I used to did not care about money. Like I just really just wanted to create. Like I just didn't care about money, and I still don't care about money, but now I know the value of it. And I know that I have to care if I want to live the life that will make me the happiest, So the point is, what was I saying? So yeah. So anyway, so after so I'm also stubborn too. So I was like, well, I don't want to keep filming these videos. Plus I have an audience. So it just wasn't fair showing up every day and faking something that I no longer was into. I'm also a creative. So it's like, if you want to be your most creative, it felt like I was just being like really dishonest to myself by coming up. Like I didn't even have the urge to be creative anymore. I was just putting stuff out, and I just didn't like it. Okay. That's the point. It just ended up like it just wasn't working. And then I ended up, I just realized that I needed to get a job, which was different for me. And I know, once again, I feel really weird saying that because I feel like that's and privilege may not be the word, but you guys know what I mean. Like, when you hear about YouTubers talk about like jobs, I don't know how to describe it, but when you've been working for yourself, let's just say for a long time, and then you have to go back to working for someone else, it's a process. It's like it's different. And although, like I said, I used to work, when I was in college, I used to work at a clothing store called Rue 21, and I also worked at Old Navy, and then I also was a babysitter. So like I've worked, in like retail and worked for people, but after like being an entrepreneur, and then even when I was doing YouTube, I was babysitting on the side, but even babysitting didn't feel like I was working for someone because I was making my own schedule. I set my own rates on what people would pay me and stuff like that, my own blah blah blah. So yeah, after working for myself, it just felt like a really big transition. But honestly, at that time, that was kind of like towards the end of the pandemic. Like I think maybe that was in 2022, I believe. Yeah, 2022. And I also, when you work from home and you're an entrepreneur, it can get lonely, especially after being in the pandemic, because I didn't even like go out and see anyone besides like my boyfriend. And I guess by the time I decided that, I really needed to get another job, I needed to get an actual job, because I didn't know like this whole YouTube stuff wasn't working out, because I fell out of love for it. And I didn't really know, I didn't want to keep putting out videos or half-ass videos, pretty much, videos that I didn't like love and just putting it out for the sake of getting paid. Like, I'm just not that kind of person. I'm so bad at faking something. Like, if I don't like something or I fall out of love with something, like I can't fake it anymore. I'm so bad at faking. So, yeah, I could not be that artist that just does something just to make money. Like, power to people who do that, but I just can't. Like, if I don't actually love it and enjoy it and have a passion for it, I can't do it. So, let me. Okay. So, I thought about it. So I was like, because every time I work any job, and maybe this is the moon in the second house for me, like whatever job that I work, whether I'm working for myself or somebody else, I have to enjoy it to some extent. So I was like, okay, what job would I not mind working at? That, like, what is something that I actually like? I like clothes. So I was like, you know what? I could see myself. And also I wanted to do part-time, by the way. Okay. Sorry. I feel like I'm going back and forth, but I'm trying to remember because it was kind of a while ago. Plus I have terrible memory. So I think this was my plan. I said I was going to get a part-time job so that could cover my bills until I try to figure out what I want to do with this YouTube thing. So I was still planning on posting, but I think I was going to try to start doing more advice and talking videos. And I was going to try to transition my channel slowly. But I did realize, like, when I would post those videos wouldn't get that much views. Therefore, if you guys know anything about how like getting paid works, obviously the more views you have, the more you get paid. The less views, the less you get paid. So, but it was fine. I was like, all right, that's fine. I'll just, get a part-time job and then I'll make it work as I'm transitioning my channel, and we'll just see. But I just needed something that was going to pay my bills, because the money that I was getting from my videos currently weren't paying my bills. Plus, it's because I wasn't posting consistently, because I wasn't really that passionate in it. And then for second, I also, it just wasn't working out. So I was like thinking like, okay, what would I actually enjoy working? Like, I do like clothes. So I was like, you know what? I actually would really enjoy working at, like, what are my favorite kind of stores? My favorite store is Free People. I love Free People. That's like, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I was working there, that would be so, I say fun, once again, I feel like this is like, just imagine a person that literally has been working for themselves in the house at home for years. Like, I know that may sound like, or people may roll their eyes or be like, seriously, you think a retail job is fun? Because I know when I used to work at retail, I didn't really think of it in high school. It wasn't like a fun thing. It was like kind of something that I had to do. But it was just a change in environment, a change in jobs, a whole change in everything. It was something I haven't done before. So I was like, I could see that being more enjoyable than if I decided to work part-time at some place, somewhere in an environment that I didn't have any interest in. So I was like, I like clothes. I feel like, I could do well with helping people put together outfits and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, what are my favorite two stores? Clothing stores, Free People and Urban Outfitters. So I applied for both. Surprisingly, I got both jobs, which, once again, I don't know. I hadn't worked. I had to redo my whole, what do you call it? what is the word, resume, because I had to I hadn't been working for anyone for a long time. So I was nervous that I wasn't even gonna be able to get the jobs or anything, but I did. And then randomly I got a call from my Capricorn cousin, 11th house. Capricorn rules my 11th house. And he ended up randomly telling me that he knew a lady that he was actually working for, because he's a contractor, or he like helps build things. Let's just say, I don't know if he's maybe he's a contractor, or maybe he just helps build things, people's build or whatever. He's in that construction building, whatever you freaking call those people. But he's not the one that's doing the work. He's the one like that manages other people who build whatever. The point is, he just finished helping, him and his team just finished building this metaphysical / spiritual store, or let's just call it crystal store. I don't know how to call it. I know it's called metaphysical store, but I don't know if people know what metaphysical means, so that's why I call it spiritual. So I'm just gonna call it a spiritual crystal store. So yeah, he had just finished doing that, or fixing that, or building that, or creating that, or whatever you freaking call it, for this lady. And I guess he really he said the lady reminded him of me because she was small and petite and whatever, and our personalities just seemed similar, which was funny because come to find out, we were both in Aquarius, which anyways. Okay, so there's just so much more to the story. I feel like that will have to be a whole separate video of me working at that place, because it was so good until it wasn't. But yeah, so he was just like, and I know that I think it will be like the place is just really calm and the vibes are calm. And mind you, he didn't know anything about spirituality or crystals. He just knew it was a calming place. I feel like he had heard, or maybe I told him before, that I struggle with anxiety. So, cause I have always been an anxious person. So he was just like, I just feel like that would be a great fit for you. And he was just encouraging me. And I was like, okay, so he gave me the lady's number. He told me to call her and see if I was interested. So I called her. We had a good talk. I ended up going by the place, looking at it. And it was just like a place with all these crystals. And it was just so like, once again, I knew nothing about crystals or anything like that. So it was kind of just like a whole new thing for me. So anyways, she was actually looking for someone. I feel like my mouth is so dry right now. Have tea and water over here. But yeah, she was initially looking for somebody to work at the front desk. But then she had mentioned that she had somebody that was doing social media marketing for her. She moved or something like that. She had to move. And then I had mentioned to her like, oh, I have been, I was a content creator for however, for a while. And I've worked with brands and, excuse me. And I told her like, if she needed the help, like I could totally help her, with that. Mind you, I've never been a social media marketer before. Like I marketed for my own self, my own, channel, and helped with other brands, but I've never like did it for a business before. But I knew like, well, yeah, like why I felt like that would be that was just something new and exciting for me. And I felt like I was actually in it, as a content creator, and played all the roles and all the stuff. So I just felt like that would be a good, like, new thing for me to use the knowledge that I've learned over the years of social media, creating and marketing. And so that would be cool to apply it to an actual business and help them grow their business. So yeah, I ended up deciding, it was crazy because that happened after I got accepted to both jobs, Free People and Urban Outfitters. So I remember like thinking like, okay, what do I do? Like, which one do I choose? And Um, yeah, it was just crazy to think back then. Like, what if I decided to choose the other job, like the free people job or something? Like, what would my life look like now? It's just so crazy in life. Like, you never know what dots are getting created. And like, my cousin literally called me randomly. Like, we hadn't been taught. Like, it was just so random. Like, why would he even think about me out of like I don't know. It was just the craziest. Like, it kind of spooks me out when I think about how like we really don't know that there's more to the life than we know, and like everything happens for a reason, and we just, yeah, it's just crazy. So obviously I ended up choosing the spiritual store, but that was really last minute. Like, I was really about to like go for it, but I just decided, I don't know, somebody just told me. I had called everybody that I loved and asked them, like, and I decided to go and do that one. So yeah, it worked out great. Once again, I stayed there. I worked there for 1 year, approximately 1 year. And that 1 year literally changed my life. I got exposed to everything. Like, how do I describe it? Let's just say this, I got exposed to the right people, or I was around the right people for having the proper knowledge of spirituality. Because like, there's so much information about spirituality, but I was connected with people who were actually like intuitive people that was born, and practitioners who just have been like, that was their lifestyle, like they grew up like seeing figures, like seeing people cross over from the other side, like supernatural stuff, and they like healed people. Like, they knew how to like give readings like intuitively. They didn't need tarot cards or oracle cards. Like, they were really connected. They were gifted. And in the craziest ways, it was just kind of like, man, and I know we all have our gifts, anyway, so yeah, I just was at the right place at the right time and for what I needed. And I fell in love with that place, like I felt like for the first time ever, I felt like I belonged. Because another thing about me is like, I've always felt like the outcast, the outsider. I always felt different. I never really felt like I fit in, especially when I moved to Georgia. I just felt like I didn't fit in, I always felt like the outcast and stuff. But when I was at that place, man, I felt like I fit in. And it was just so great. So anyways, so that's where I had my spiritual awakening. I guess you would say, I don't know, because like, what do you do? I guess spiritual awakening is when you discover spirituality, but also a lot of things was going on too. Okay. I mean, last year was like, the last 22 and 23 was very rough years for me. I was going through a lot of transitions, obviously with my self-identity, like having an identity crisis, on top of me going through like, it's just so much. It's just too much to share. I was just going through it. Okay. I worked that job. It started off good. And then, unfortunately, when you work for people, or you go to, especially in retail, for whatever reason, there's always drama. And there's always like, people seem so innocent and so like on top of it when you first start working there. And then the longer you start working there, you start to see the drama, and you see the stuff, you see everything. So yeah, over time, I just realized a lot of things that I did not like, and I'm not going to go into it because that's a whole nother story and all the things, but let's just say I had to leave. Plus, I also realized that working for somebody wasn't for me. Like, I just couldn't do it. I was late a lot because like I was used to being on my own schedule, and it was just a lot. I was very underpaid. That was another thing. I ended up neglecting my channel because I ended up doing a lot for them, as far as growing their business and it was just a lot. So, and then last year, it was rough. I lost the closest person to me in my life, which was my grandma, to cancer, and it was rough. It was something I've never dealt with, and I never, you always think you're never gonna be the one that, lose someone close to you. But yeah, it was a lot. Last year was a lot. There was a lot of things. So anyways, like I shared in my last video, I fast forwarding to everything. I decided to quit my job. And it wasn't a smart decision because, obviously you want to have a job before you quit your job and blah, blah, blah. But I was working like I shared in my previous video. There was an intuitive practitioner that used to work there and do energy healings and chakra balancing, and she was literally amazing. I felt like she was an angel sent from God for me to be at my life and at the right time. And she helped me through my whole spiritual journey in ways that I feel like so blessed to have been able to have her be the person that helped me. Because yeah, she was just like the perfect person. Like, yeah. So, she told me, cause she knew that I was having my situation with my job, and she knew, like, I would share my whole story and everything with her. And I remember her telling me something as far as like, what did she say? She said, what did she tell me? She said something around the lines of like, know that, something around the lines of like, shoot, I wish I knew exactly what she said. As long as you are doing something that like fulfills, that is gonna fulfill, like that is a part of your purpose, like as long as you're aligning to your purpose, you will be like, you will be in support, if that makes sense. Like, because I was thinking about quitting my job, and I knew it sounded crazy, but I just wasn't happy, and it was really unhealthy. It was really taking a big toll on my mental health and everything like that. And it was just, I'm actually getting kind of like stressed even talking about it, because it was just so much. You know how you go through a major life event and it's just too much to talk about because it's so much. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling like I'm getting off track. Okay. Okay. I think you guys get the gist of the whole conversation. Let's just say that's where my spiritual awakening came, okay? Through that job, and then through me applying everything I learned from my job, plus intuitive practitioners, books, and my experience being there, because I met a lot of people on top of that, because there was a lot of classes there. There were a lot of services. I was just exposed to the right people at the right time. Like I am actually, I think it's great to get your information from YouTube videos and online, but you never know what stuff is real. And that's what a lot of the intuitive practitioners would say. They would be like, how they really are uncomfortable with, like, there's a lot of just misinformation out there. There's a lot of people who say they're spiritual, but they're only just trying to like take your money and stuff like that. Like, or say that they could tell, like, there's just a lot of, it can get really, like, if you don't really know, you can just be fed a lot of information that is false, or you can, be led to think that you have to spend all this money to be healed and stuff. And it's just not true. So once again, I just think I got the most expert and realist advice from the realest people who are actually credible, if that makes sense. than me getting information from the internet and not really even knowing like the how genuine it was, and if it was actually if it was actually real or not. So anyways, so yeah, so that's kind of where my spiritual awakening came from, just from being lost, feeling like an outcast, feeling under like, and also I was going through this. I wasn't just going through this internally, but I was going through this on my YouTube channel. So imagine like seeing, I'm not trying to compare myself to a celebrity or anything like that, but imagine seeing your favorite artists, and remember those artists that like blew up, supposedly, like quote unquote blew up, and then you look at them and then they end up completely changing, and then people be like, what happened to them and stuff like that. And I really don't like that, because people forget that a lot. Like you're supposed to grow and change and evolve. If you're not, no judgment, but I don't know how to tell. I don't know about the people who don't, but in life you're supposed to grow and change and evolve. Obviously that looks different for everybody, but especially if you're a creative person, you're not gonna really be wanting to do the same things. Like you're always gonna change and grow and evolve in your creativity in some way. So I just felt like the world was sharing, because I was being transparent about how I was feeling too. Like, oh my gosh, just going back and looking at my videos, you could really see the transition, and it was a lot. It was really, it was like kind of embarrassing for me to put out, because so many people knew, like my family, people from my high school will watch my videos, and a whole bunch of other people that I didn't, I don't know. So imagine like dealing with an identity crisis already externally, and like with yourself, and then also with your family, and then also with people. And then it was like, just what it was like, letting people like, it was like people looking at you like fail, and then like be confused. And I just felt a lot of emotions. I felt like a failure, kind of. I felt lonely. I felt lost. I felt like, is this it? I felt just so many things. And then I decided to, so I guess the one thing, and then what happened? So after I decided to quit my or stop posting on my YouTube channel, or take a break, or whatever I did, I was really like on the search for, at first I was like, you know what? I need to find my community. I wanted to find the people that who was into spirituality and stuff like that, like me, who was on a spiritual path. And what happened? Like I was like, okay, what are the steps that I could take to get me to do that? So I was like, okay, if I go to classes, if I get myself out there around the people that I need to be around, then I will make friends. Drinking some water. Okay. So I was like, if I like yoga class. If I feel like I'm so all over the place right now. It's just so much to explain. But the point is, I decided, let me try to put myself out there around people that I will like, that are into the same things that I like, around classes and groups and communities that are probably will be around my community. And so I realized that I was trying to force myself. Like I would go to these classes, but then I wouldn't really like talk with anybody. And I don't know, it just felt like I was forcing myself to do stuff, and then I felt lonely. I would feel bad when I would go to these classes and then don't talk to anybody, and then feel like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm supposed to be making friends and I'm not even. It was just like, I just felt like I was having an unhealthy relationship with that, because first of all, I'm supposed to be going to these classes to enjoy doing yoga, to enjoy doing the things, but I was really, to be honest, going because I was hoping that I was going to find a friend, but then I wasn't even doing, but like, how you can't, I was just trying to force something. Then I realized this doesn't work. Like, when you try to force having friends, that's when you like, that's like trying to force yourself into a relationship. When you're forcing anything to happen, that usually doesn't come, like, the energy that comes from forcing something, it's called, like, you're giving off like desperate energy. Then you ended up being friends with anybody who and it's like, you may not even be aligned to those people, but you're just so desperate to be friends or not be lonely anymore that you're just trying to connect with somebody or build a relationship, which is not good, because I don't need, like, I do not need another, like, any toxic or people that I don't align with, because that would cause me more problems, So that's when I realized that I was going through the isolation period, is what people call in their spiritual journey, that, a time where I felt really lonely, but I needed to, because I needed to use that time of being alone to connect with myself. Whew. That's what I've been trying to say during this whole long rant. So that's where the magic happened. That's where I started to blossom. That's where I started to realize the benefits of spiritual, like being more spiritual. That's when I think I elevated in my spiritual journey, if that makes sense. Because instead of looking outward, like I have been doing a lot of my life, listening to outward voices and caring about what outward opinions, and just putting a lot of energy outwards, and letting a lot of the outward world dictate what I do and what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and blah, blah, blah. How I was going to look to other people. I muted that. I put that on mute. And I started to go inward. And that is what I want to help. I want to be able to show people who are not, I want to share that, because that was the best thing I could have done for myself. That is when I started gaining the benefits. So what that looked like was me deciding that I wanted to do a spiritual practice for myself that I did every day, or at least as often, at least every day, if not every day, as many times a week as I could. The goal was every day, but like if I did it every other day or whatever, twice a week or 3 times a week, whatever, but just be consistent with the spiritual practice. So that kind of looked like me trying out things and figuring out what works and reading books and whatever. And then I decided, and so I did that. And it was weird at first, and it seemed like I wasn't really, you don't really get the benefits at first, you're kind of just doing something that feels like weird, because you're not used to like being still and silencing your mind, and all these things just don't feel right. But it's not supposed to, because it's new. You're doing something different. That's like when you first decide to do anything in life. Of course, it's not gonna feel normal until you actually do it, and then you have to be consistent to get the benefits and stuff like that. So, I did. So yeah, over time, I started to really enjoy doing my spiritual practices. And the one thing that I also heard, which I loved, I learned from my working at the metaphysical store, and being in close contact with the intuitive practitioner, as in like her helping me on my journey, one thing she told me, I asked her what her favorite spiritual practice was. And she said, I'm thinking she's going to say like something complex or I don't know, like something. And she said meditation. She said she thinks that's the best thing to do when you are trying to, like, she just said that's the best spiritual practice because like that is the thing that a lot of people forget, that is like the main priority thing, because the goal for spirituality is to just get connected and in tune with yourself so you can be connected and in tune with your intuition so you can let that guide you. Now, everybody has a different definition of what their intuition is depending on your beliefs. I believe in God, so I believe my intuition is God speaking through me. Now it can get complex because, you know, I'm not here to go get super technical about gods or whatever the case may be, but but I believe that my like God or, you know, spirit is talking through me through my intuition. But if I'm not connected with my body and if I'm not connected with myself, how will I receive that guidance or even know what, or, you know, that will be blocked. So ultimately, me doing my meditation and doing my spiritual practices and mainly meditating, and most importantly, allowed me to silence the world and what other people's opinions, and started to really connect with like what I should do, connecting to my purpose, connecting to what I was brought on this earth to do, you know? And that changed my life, you know? That really started to make me feel like aligned and really get clarity when I was so lost before and so lonely before, you know? So yeah, I don't know if that made any sense. That was a long explanation. But yeah, the point is, that's why I really am a huge advocate in, first off, meditating, because I believe meditating is the number one way. There are so many ways that you can do certain things, but meditation is free for one. You could do it by yourself. Obviously, you can go to classes, but like it's the main thing that you need. Everybody needs to know, especially if you want to be on a more spiritual path and connect to yourself. Even if you're not anybody could do it. Everybody should do it. You know, if you want to be aligned to yourself, like, I don't know. I guess, you know, another thing I was thinking, I think because I'm such a logical person, meditation helps me connect to my body in ways that I wouldn't do naturally. I'm always like, I don't always lead with my feelings or my intuition. I often used to question that. So I would go off of logic. And logic, your mind is like, can also be altered by your ego and stuff like that. So technically, it isn't really what you should always lean into, or what you really should. You should lean into what feels right. Like, what is your body? What is your intuition telling you? Because your heart, there you go, won't lie to you. Your mind will make up stories and all the things, you know, to cloud your vision. And or also your mind is also, you know, we don't know this, but we're also programmed just from the world, you know, just from our childhood, you know, what our parents told us and what we learned in school and what we see on social media, and just so many things we don't realize that's programmed to our mind. So our leading with your mind is not all, you know, the best. always because it's altered, but leaning into what your heart and your intuition is really going to be the best thing for you to do. So how do you do that? You get still. You learn to be still, and you learn to you just learn to be still in your body. And through that, aka one of the best things for that is meditating. So yeah, that was a long video. So yeah, if you want to connect to your intuition, you should start meditating. And that's one of the reasons and one of the things that made me want to start the women's circle, the women's group, because I wanted to, well, I said women's circle because that's what inspired me to do this women's group. I don't know if you know about women's circles, but it's pretty much when women get together and you do like these ceremonies and you heal together. And that's a thing that I learned about from working at the metaphysical store. Like, I learned so much, and I was just like, first of all, I never knew what that is. I mean, it was a simple concept, but I never, had heard about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's something that I felt like I was made for. Like, I would love to do that, So yeah, I was kind of like, first off, I want 2024 to be the year that I connect more to my intuition, that I lead with my intuition. I want to really learn. I just really want to lead with my intuition and see where that gets me. Because when you're leading with your intuition, you are connecting to your purpose. And, something in me, my intuition, believes that as long as I align, I'm on, in alignment with my intuition and my purpose, I will achieve, or I will be taken care of. I won't have to stress about, I will be taken care of. I will be supported through my journey. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I would love to help other, women learn how to connect with their intuition, learn how to trust their intuition, learn how to, live a more purposeful life. Like, figure out what is your dream life. Know that you can achieve it, but but you have to be intentional by doing. You have to be intentional, and also, how do we describe it? Like, being honest with yourself about like your dream life, because it also has to, like, how do I describe it? Like, it has to be in alignment with you, as in, like, it has to be something that you actually want to do, not something that you want to do because of the opinions of other people, or you want to do it because someone else is doing it. In that case, I believe you're going to have a lot of challenges in life. Like, that's not really truly aligned to you. You have to figure out, like, what do you want to do? If you were to not care about anything anybody else says, if you were to block out everybody's opinion, your parents, everybody, your partners, and you were to just think, what would be something that will make me happy? What is something that I love doing, I could see myself doing for the rest of my life? What is something that I do every day or makes me feel happy every day? That's what you should be trying to achieve, not what other people, not, this so-and-so is doing this and they're making this amount of money, so that's what I want to do. Like, no, that's not you being aligned. So you may have trouble getting that because you that isn't really your purpose. You're trying to live somebody else's thing, or you're trying to live this life because you think it will get you this thing, So just helping, there's just so much. I just believe when you're on a journey of trying to discover yourself, of trying to find yourself per se, if you are transitioning through relationships, career, whatever, if you want to be, if you're on a spiritual journey, most importantly, just having a group and a community that can help guide you, because everybody has something to offer through their stories. And, once again, I learned the most I have ever had, like most through working at the metaphysical store, because I was gaining so much knowledge and insights from the people that I would talk to every day. Like I miss that. Like I don't miss the job, but I miss the community aspect of it, the social aspect of it, of meeting different people and connecting to different people and helping each other. And it was just so fulfilling. So that's why I know that that's something that I belong in that. That is a part of my purpose. And I just think that that'll be that's just something that I have to do, because it fulfills me in so many ways. And it won't just fulfill me, it fulfills me because I know it will help so many other people. It will help us all. The obvious Aquarius in me is like, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for us, for people like me and all the things, like that, for us to help each other. So that's the basis of so that's what I'm gonna be doing. So then when I think about this women's group, I think of like, doing what helped me in the beginning, which is like starting off with like getting used to being still, creating your own spiritual practice. What helps you? One of the things that I like to do during my spiritual practice in the beginning is like, first of all, creating a time that I could show up every day around that time or on that exact time to do my spiritual practices. Like it's something that I have to do, like brushing my teeth. Like it's not even an option. Also, like what's the things that will help me set the vibes, because I'm a vibes kind of person. You don't have to, but like having a white candle to cleanse your space, having some essential oil or an incense, that's easy, cheap, free to use. Having an incense, and all that, just setting your vibes and everything. And then like doing your meditation, starting off with 5 minutes, starting off with 5 to 10 minutes, then doing 10 to 20 minutes or whatever works for you, then journaling afterwards. And then you could stop there. But also if you want extra guidance, which is probably really helpful for people who are just starting off, then get you some oracle cards or whatever, but if you don't have oracle cards, or if you don't really know how to use that or whatever, then that's what having a friend like hello, yours truly, will be here for, to help like guide you through that. So it's just like having a go-to friend group that you can help you. So that's my goal, for us to show up every day, do our meditation practice, I just have so many, talk about astrology. And speaking of astrology, that's the second thing. So I prioritize spirituality first, like you're connected to your intuition first, and then using astrology as like a confirmation, if that makes sense. As just like an extra thing, because a lot of the times I like to start off my day doing my spiritual practice, and I will not, sometimes if I get a notification from my astrology app or whatever, like I try not to really check the astrology too much throughout the day. But I like to do my spiritual practice. I like to meditate at first. I like to do that first before I even look or think about astrology. Do my meditation, do my journal, pull my oracle card, And then at the end, later in the day, after I do that, then I can look at the astrology, because to just as a extra thing, because like, once again, you should be trying to do what aligns to you, and looking at your astrology as just like an extra, like, confirmation, which, if you will find that the more aligned you are to your purpose, the more the astrology will be more accurate for you anyways. So yeah, that's what I like to do. So in the women's group, we'll come together, we'll do our spiritual practices to help us. I will help you guys formulate your own spiritual practice and your routine that you can do to show up and answer any questions that you have, or do a guided meditation, so we can get comfortable with doing that once a week. If you don't do it on your own, or even just together, just as a starter for the practice, and then we'll have little, like, topics that we're going to talk about. Then but a lot of the times we will talk about the astrology. So what happened, I'll be sharing, once again, I don't know who's going to know about astrology or whatever, but we'll talk about, like, what's going on for each other every week with our astrology, and if it aligned with our actual life, and just learning to use astrology and spiritual practices in the most beneficial way for us to live our happiest and most successful life. Okay, so we can all be living our dream lives, and being happy, and having being aligned to our purpose, and let's just living our dream life and being happy. And why am I repeating myself? You get what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, I don't know what it is. I'm starting to get hungry already. Like, how am I hungry that fast? I'm also on, like, I think this is week 1 of me doing my well, I'm not calling it Lent, but it is Lent. I'm just doing a 40-day fast. Fasting, something that I enjoy doing, that doesn't necessarily benefit me, but it's not, would I call it a vice? Kind of, but something around like that. Like, I'm just trying to practice discipline. It's a whole thing. I don't even know. Like, if you know, you know. If you don't, I don't even feel like explaining it. But I'm fasting for 40 days, and you can fast whatever. Some people fast social media. Some people blah, blah, blah. I decided to fast everything but raw items. I'm eating a raw food diet, so that means that I can't eat anything cooked. So I'm fasting anything cooked, that I'm only supposed to eat fruits and vegetables and raw. So I'm on a raw food diet, or food whatever, and it's been quite a challenge, but it's only because of my previous history. Once again, if you want to know about I have food allergies, I have digestive issues, and I know that eating raw foods is very important for me, especially like a lot of fruits and vegetables. And I say raw because when fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables, because fruits, you eat it raw usually anyways, you don't usually eat cooked. Okay, so yeah, that is I think I've been talking for long enough. I need to do my spiritual practice now, because I actually sat down to do that. I'm going to stop talking now because I am hungry. I'm leaving now.